everybody. This is Joshua Hatton with One Nation Under Whisky, extra edition. I'm joined today, and I am joined, as always, with my good friend, my business partner, the dear Jason Neal, Patrick Harris Johnston Yellen, wearing his handsome cap this morning.
Thank you. This morning's commute was snowy, and so I had to protect my delicate tresses from that snow because obviously, as you've referenced many times, Joshua, given the whiteness of my hair, when snow falls on it, we can't see the accumulation. So I have to be very protective. And so it is the stylish flat cap this morning. It is the insulated vest. It is the fleece high neck. So, but I lived. You can't see it. Neither viewers nor listeners can observe my fleece-lined trousers, which are one of the greatest inventions. I would argue of the 21st century. I only say that as somebody who did not own fleece-lined trousers in the 20th century.
Wow.
But game changer, just game changer. For an old man like me, just needs to keep the warmth in his core. Fleece-lined trousers. Oh, I tell you, do you own fleece-lined trousers, Joshua?
Do you know I don't own the fleece-lined trousers? Like, is it the whole, you know, from belt to from belt to ankle?
From buttons to braces.
From buttons to braces? Is it more concentrated on your central bits? Easy now,
easy now. Keep it PG. No, the internal lining of the trousers is entirely fleece. So comfy. I'm sitting here, honestly, listeners, viewers, I'm sitting here so comfortable right now. I'm really happy. You can tell.
It sounds like we have a new sponsor. What's the brand?
I will not go so far as to name it.
Okay.
But it is a brand you will be familiar with in the world of outdoor clothing.
So a couple of weeks ago, I got a WhatsApp message from our dear friend, Mr. Ollie Chilton. Actually, I'll give him a full name check. Oliver the Man Chilton.
Oh, Aloysius.
Aloysius.
Oliver Aloysius, the Quiet Titan.
The Quiet
Chilton.
Titan. Yeah, the Quiet Titan Chilton. Yeah. And he said, do you have time for a dram? Of course I've got time for a dram. I wish I had more time for more drams with Ollie, because drams with Ollie is always a good time. And so we're drinking and drinking and drinking. And he mentions to me, he says, you know, I really miss the news, you know, when you had extra and it was really focused on whiskey news. and I said, give me good news. Where's the good news? Where's when we're not talking about busts and tariffs and, you know, like.
To be fair, you are always talking about busts, Joshua.
I am always talking about busts. Can we go back to the thermal lined or the fleece lined trousers? Talk about a bust.
Buttons to busts.
And I said, I gave him a challenge.
That's what he needs in life.
He does.
Just, you know, if Sukinder's listening, Oliver Aloysius, the Quiet Titan Chilton, he just sits in his hands. He just puts in a day sitting on his hands. Mm-hmm. Like, he needs a challenge. And so I'm glad you stepped up, Joshua, and filled the emptiness in his calendar. Well done, you.
And I said, like, he has an empty spot in his calendar. This dude works until 3 or 4 in the morning. I don't think he sleeps a wink.
He doesn't.
I don't think he sleeps a wink. He doesn't.
He rests upside down in the belfry and then just gets right back to work.
Yeah, right? And he just comes down with his bat wing. Anyway.
This is going to be a tight 35, just tight 35. Introducing Ollie.
So anyway, so I said, look, if you can give me a bit of good news, then we'll have an extra where we have some industry good news. And so And so he says, you know what? I've got a bit of good news. And he explained some of his good news to me. And I said, you know what? Rather than us explain the good news that you've explained to me, why don't we bring you on the podcast so we can hear it directly from your mouth? And he said, I'm up for it. So
is part of this the fact that you stopped listening halfway through his sentences?
You know me so well. No, it's Ollie. I listen to every word Ollie says.
Bless you for owning it this day. Bless you. Bless you.
It's only you I don't listen to, Jason. When Ollie talks, I listen. When the Quiet Titan talks, I listen.
Speaking of the Quiet Titan, let's bring this man in.
Let's bring him in.
Hello, Quiet Titan.
So I have a question before we go any further.
He's such a control freak.
Do you wear underwear with the
Oliver, I will not be taking
trousers?
follow-up questions on my fleece line trousers.
I mean, it sounds.
I tell you what, though, buy a pair and experiment both ways. See which you prefer.
Ooh.
Yeah. I would worry about chafing on one side, but I guess the other side would be fine. Anyway, I have to apologise. I'm a little bit on the tired side because we were out last night celebrating Polly Logan being named Distillery Manager of the Year at the World Whisky Awards.
Fantastic! Congratulations to her.
Loads of good news, and loads.
I honestly thought someone's microphone had broken down there, and we were only getting white noise.
No, that was the applause.
Well done. Well done. She wins the award, we interview Ollie. That's how the world works.
Yeah. she's too important to talk to you now. That's the thing.
Thank goodness we'll always have you, Ollie.
Yeah. Not winning any awards anytime soon, that's for damn sure.
So, Ollie Chilton, you explained to me some news that, I mean, I could read the WhatsApp that you sent me, but I'm not going to. But I loved the way you explained it, which is you took lemons and you turned them into lemonade, or you explained someone else's lemons and how they were turning those lemons into lemonade. And I'd love for you to share how people are sort of taking these sort of slower times and sort of turning it into a bit of good news. Would you mind explaining that?
Yeah. So I really, I mean, obviously, it's all going to sound really obvious when you think about it, because we talk about golden ages of Scotch whisky. And there's periods, and if you look at when they're producing, how much they're producing, the golden ages tend to disappear when people are trying to push for more quantity for lower money. Mm-hmm. And you can't get away from the fact that sales for a lot of companies are down, and certainly the big companies are struggling. And it is having a big effect. Nobody wants to talk about the bad news, but it's having a big effect on the industry. We all know people who have been made redundant or their jobs at risk. And we all know that certainly where I live in Speyside, it has a big effect on the local population. So anything I say after this isn't supposed to diminish that. I'm not saying, it's all great.
Yeah, understood.
Obviously, those things are really tricky and difficult. But I was visiting Altmore Distillery a couple of months back, just out of curiosity. I quite like the make, and I thought I'll go and have a look and learn a bit. And they did a big expansion back in, I think it's 2024 or 2023, to take it up to a 4.5 million litre site or something. It was like big numbers.
Wow.
So kind of similar size to Tullamore. But like a lot of companies, they're not pushing production because they just don't need the liquid, right? So the overproduction the whole industry sitting on. I won't speak specifically for us because we're in a very different position to everyone else because of our business and the way we bought the distillery and the transition of that. Okay. But yeah, a lot of the big companies have clearly produced too much based on a sales forecast of never-ending 20% growth, which, when we think about it, so they're pulling back and they're cutting back. And I said I was chatting to the distillery manager, and he said to me, so what do you do for ferments? He goes, well, we're actually on 150 hours as our minimum fermentation time. Wow. And I was like, wow, has that always been the case? Oh, no, we've just started doing it this year. His reasoning was really interesting, because his reasoning gets to a story in Scotch that I think repeats and repeats. So his reasoning for doing the longer ferments was it made cleaning the stills easier, because it was getting less frothing. So basically, because you're getting rid of more of the live yeast, so you end up in a much cleaner situation. So he said basically it was saving in pounds on his CIP, but saving in pounds on all of his caustic and everything else. So that was his reasoning for doing it as the site manager. And I said, so the blending team looked at it and said, they tasted it. They're really happy with the making where it is. And I said, is there a character change? That must be a worry for you. He goes, yeah, definitely. A character change. It's distinctly more fruity. And I got to thinking, everybody's doing some of that. Some companies are obviously shutting for long periods of time and making people redundant. And then a lot of companies like Bacardi and like ourselves, so we're dropping down to 14 mashes a week next year. So that's, for us to drop from 18 to 14 mashes is a relatively big drop in quantity.
Yeah.
What it allows for is essentially our ferments will increase to, we'll keep the same times, but we'll have more longs in our mix than we'll have shorts. We'll end up with 11 or 12 longs to 2 shorts or something. And that does change character. It gives you a slightly fruitier, slightly richer character. We were also, again, while we were chatting about waxy character, and his father was a distiller back in the 60s, 70s, 80s. He was saying, they always believed that a lot of that character was coming from having longs and shorts being closed at the weekend, mixing short fermentation distillation with long fermentation distillation. And these are all kind of things we're kind of lost because everyone's on a 7-day week and everyone wants to push.
Yeah.
So for me, what I think is interesting is that in 10 years' time, we're going to be trying these whiskies, which, if you just imagine Altmore for a second, but fruitier, richer in just a, it's going to perform better. And what I really look forward to is in 10 years' time, whiskey will be building again. It never shrinks forever. But the core whiskey we're going to pour is going to be unbelievable. So you have to see it as this wave that we've gone through over and over and again. And then you've got to look for the positive bits. I don't have any definitive stats on this, but there does seem to be there is a lot more smaller independent businesses operating in Scotch now than there certainly was 20 years ago. You had this period of distillers buying up, whether it's smaller companies or each other. But now you do have, in McLeod's, us, Angus Dundee, and then you've got Aaron, and you've got all of those kind of smaller distillers. And quality is absolutely king. Quality is focused for what they do, and they're able to be a little bit more. They're able to think a bit further down the track. So as we make these changes, which are kind of forced on us, we're having to make changes. We have to look for the best way to do it. We're also learning. So what I hope comes down the track is those companies are the ones that kind of carry that flavour forward and say, well, look, this is where we've got to, and this is where we want to stay. I think the other side of it, and I think this is also in the message, Joshua, was you've also got to bear in mind that next year, the barley price is down. So it's such a good year to make whiskey. Not a lot, but it's down a bit. Wood price has come down a lot, and a lot of these prices were crazy. Like you're paying close to $300 for a second-hand barrel for a bourbon barrel, which it's not, those things weren't sustainable for our industry. And it was all because there was all of this growth, like too much growth in every bit of whiskey. So as much as it's painful to go, oh, well, people losing their jobs, absolutely. But maybe we all went a little bit too hard and a little bit too big. And maybe this is a good period for us because we'll shrink that down, but we'll be able to guarantee better quality. Wood quality now, I think, is at a real high. The technology is incredible. Like the stuff you're getting from the coopers, the information you're getting is absolutely brilliant. So we're now in a good place where you can really take advantage of that. You've got time. We have time to lay stock down to think about how we're going to make it. There you go. That's my positive news.
You almost pat yourself on the back at the end of that.
I did.
So I was actually going to ask you the question about wood, and so now that you've kind of broached the topic, see if I can push it forward a little bit here, which is one of the things we've heard from consumers is, why is everything finished? And one of the comments we've been making is, you've got this rise in production. You've got so much liquid and only so much wood to go around. And a lot of liquid was being held in older wood, knackered, one of Joshua's preferred phrases, for the wood. And so then there was this idea of, well, now you have to introduce flavour, and how do you do it? And I'm curious for you, as you talk about this potential rebound for spirit itself, and now you're talking about price adjustments on wood. Do you think we'll start to see more fully matured offerings from distillers themselves, let alone from independent bottlers, of which you are both, sir?
I think you will. I actually, one of the reasons that you have so much in refill is that the planning cycle for this stuff, for malt at least, is still relatively young. It's relatively new. I was reading Schweppes, Scott Schweppes, the book, 19. I was looking through it obviously looking at some Tormore stuff for some of the archive work we're doing. And there's a list in there of the single malts on sale, but relatively achievable in terms of where you can find them. So that's 1983, and it's like there's 10. That's it. 10 distilleries you can find. That's all you can find for single malt. And they're all names that you'll know, like it's all Macallan, Tormore's in there, etc., etc. So you've got these big names, but today you go to a shelf and there's, every distillery company is releasing something from almost every distillery. So you've got all these distilleries releasing stock, but most of it wasn't. 20 years ago, no one was casking stuff for single malt production. They were laying it down for blend. So you're going to lay it down into cheaper wood. You're going to lay it. You've got a time limit. So if you take some of those big companies, particularly, their plans are based on the world of blend. They're not based on the world of single malt.
Sure. Yeah.
But now you've got kind of infrastructure for those brands. So great examples would be Tandu. Tandu drinks incredibly well, and they've taken the line that everything will be in sherry. They don't re-rack. Everything is laid down into sherry. They're not even interested in buying back stock if it's not in sherry. It's no interest to them. So you are seeing those companies. It's just now we're getting to the point where people have those programs.
Sure.
And they're locked in for a long period of time. I think the wood price thing and the price of casks go up and down all the time. But I do think it's now a much more competitive market, which is good. Like, we do have a better selection of good coopers. And that means people can commit a bit more to laying stock into good quality wood. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I hope we see more kind of full maturation. Don't get me wrong, finishing, it's a useful tool. We do a lot of re-racking here, as you guys know. And I do a lot of re-racking on the independent bottling side, because most of, as you guys well know, everything you're buying on that side is probably for the blending market. It's not sitting in top quality wood all the time. Sometimes you get lucky, but largely not. So yeah, we spend a lot of time doing that. But the best products I think we're making now are things like, I'm really happy with where Port Cake is, but we filled all that new make and we put it to our own wood.
Yeah.
And we put it into, we spent good money on really good wood. So I think it shows in 8-year-olds. If you pick up a bottle of 8, I think it's drinking better. Well, absolutely. It's another area where we're still young as an industry, but we're now getting to see this kind of learning. I think Scotch has this both a bit of an attitude, but also a bit of it's an external thing as much as an internal thing, where we think we're really old.
Yeah.
The single malts, just not. It's just not really.
From a pricing standpoint, I think we went through a time where prices went sort of through the roof, and I think prices are starting to right themselves. What are you seeing? Like you had said, wood is starting to come down, malt is starting to come down. You're able to bring your prices down on your products. Are you seeing that across the industry?
Yes and no, but I don't think the cost of production, and this sounds pretty counterintuitive, but I think the cost of production really has been related to retail price.
Yeah.
Well, certainly not if you actually look at cost of production versus retail, certainly not the last 20 years.
Yeah.
And as you say, the prices went pretty wild pretty quickly. I once did a model, and it's kind of an interesting one. If you just take a standard cost per litre of spirit, say £4, and you put your wood cost, and you say, right, to make, for you as a producer, you want to make 50% so that you can lay more stock down, like you've got enough money to invest, right? And you sell that at 12 years old, the retail price, when that margin model will sit at about £40, 35, £40, which is pretty much where most malts are. Now, if you then take that model and you just apply the 2% loss per annum and a rental charge, and you say, how much should it be when it's 40 years old? It's about £120. So, there's no distinct relationship between. Does that make sense? If you kept everything even, it's the same. But the pricing, so that pricing has room to come down. What I am seeing, and actually this is an area that I think is a bit more concerning, is, and it'd be really interesting how you guys are finding it in the States. We're seeing a lot of core product in supermarkets that really heavily discounted. And it's a funny thing, because as a consumer, and as you both know, I'm a big consumer. I drink too much, and I don't just drink Elixir products. So I'm buying whiskey all the time. There's one part of me that I see something like Lefroy Cask Strength knocked down to £45. I'm like, wow, I should definitely buy a bottle of that. That's great.
Yeah.
And then there's another part of me that's like, that's some serious damage to your brand. There's a price adjustment that definitely, to your point, needs to happen. We definitely needed to get rid of a lot of these products that were substandard and charged too much. But what is a little bit worrying is when you're seeing Glenfiddich 12-year-old for £18 in the UK, and you consider that, thanks to our beautiful Chancellor, we're now like 10. The duty on that's £10, and on there's 20% VAT. So you take those things off, and you've not got a lot left in that bottle for margins. And what that does is it puts pressure on companies like ours to price, obviously incredibly keenly, but we need to make that 50%, because I can't lay more stock down. I can't pay the bills. I can't put staff in and all the rest. So it's that balance, and we are definitely in a point where trying to get control of the pricing from a small company point of view is a big challenge, because the big companies obviously are only really interested in their quarterly figures. So. to get the turnover. How are you guys finding in the States in terms of pricing? Is it similar? Are you seeing a lot of that heavy discounts, or is it not get you yet?
We're seeing some pricing going down. There's definitely discounting. I mean, in the bourbon world, it's so funny you bring this up. I was in a bourbon forum, and there was a store. I won't mention any names, but there was a store that had posted a list of all of the late fall releases, your Pappies, your Elmer T. Lees, your Mictors, your insert coveted bottles here, and there was a Pappy 20 for $1,000, which to my mind was, I haven't seen a Pappy 20 for $1,000 in a long time, and I had said that's actually a I can't believe I said this. That's actually a good price, But the overall comments as you read through the thread was, you mean in today's day and age, I still got to drop a G on a Pappy 20? Like, people aren't buying it anymore. Like, the consumer is not there anymore, and they're not willing to open up their wallet for that inflated price. They're over it. They've had it. It's on their shelves. And they're simply not willing to pay that price. Like, they're more interested in, okay, it had a suggested retail price. Let's get a bit closer to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think consumers want to get back to reality.
I would say on the Scotch side, from being in and out of retail stores in the last couple of weeks, and obviously being receiving emails daily from various online purveyors, I think Scotch is holding pretty well.
Yeah,
I think
that's true.
Very much to your point, Ollie, you're definitely seeing the deals on the big name brands, and we know at this time of year that stores are being loaded with those big brands on really good deals. So it makes sense. But I would say, and all three of us are in the same boat. We're consumers. We buy from brands that are not our own. And I would say there's opportunity out there without necessarily feeling like the market is having a slow crash. And I would say some of those independent brands that you're naming, I think are holding price really well and have great support over here. And I'm thinking Loch-Lee and Ardnamurchan and Rassy, even going around stores for the last couple of weeks, I'm having consumers talking to me about Rassy and Loch-Lee and Ardnamurchan, Tormore, their excitement around where they are, where they're going, and even what 2026 holds. So I think there's a sense of the consumer being price aware and not looking to be gouged on, 40-year-old expressions, to use your example. But I think for a standard release from an independent distillery, I think there's still appetite there with the consumer, and I think they know that they're getting a quality product there. So that's just my experience in the last 2 to 4 weeks.
I guess the big positive for whiskey that's come out of the last 20 years of growth, and I think anytime you speak to marketeers or anyone in the big companies, they're always looking for the new consumer. Like I'm sure you guys have been in meetings where they've told you all about the new consumer that you need to get. And the great thing about the last 20 years is we actually recruited a hell of a lot of consumers who like whiskey, really love whiskey, and they do drink it like it is a drink. It's a consumable, not a collectible. So, all the bottles behind you are open. That's because you're drinking them. And when one of them finishes, you buy another one. Well, probably less so at the moment because you probably don't need more Joshua. One of those shelves is Boeing. But that world that companies like, I like to think like us and like yourselves have basically created, that is still bringing money through the door for those kind of companies.
Yeah.
The other bit on pricing, which is probably really apt for our conversation, is the independent bottling side. That, it got so challenging and so difficult to buy, as you both know as well. We had this conversation many times. You got to a point where there's no point in partaking in this madness.
Yep.
You had a lot of newer companies enter the market, certainly over the last 2-3 years, and it really inflated prices, and it was difficult to see it ever being able to sell a lot of that product. I still look at some of the casks and go, we've got another 5-6 years of hanging out, making sure that doesn't get too woody.
Yeah.
To be able to charge the correct price for it.
Mm-hmm.
But what we are now seeing is that bulk adjustment is helping. I've been watching all your releases in the last week, and the prices are really competitive. You're now in a world where it's not cheap, and you shouldn't be cheap.
Yeah.
But you can afford to drink them, and that's that's the best thing. I think that the quality available from independent bottlers right now is probably an all-time high. If you're buying from the right people, and we're now finally getting to a point where that price is kind of coming into line as well. So, I kind of think that price thing could be really good for businesses like ours. I think it can give us a really good opportunity for the year. And as you're kind of saying, Jason, the customers out there are, they're pretty savvy, and they already know their whiskey, so they're kind of good customers for Single Cask Nation and Elixir.
Yeah. No, the support we continue to receive, and we say it on every episode of the podcast, but the support that we receive from the nation, and that's the nation spread globally, remains buoyant and warm, and it's really lovely. And listen, you know this. Josh and I are out there singing the praises of Single Malts of Scotland constantly.
Really
I think you present the same value proposition, which is if you take the time to spend your money, you're going to get a good cask. And we are, I'm looking behind this camera and off camera. I've got my Smoss bottles around the office as well. And so, I'm excited for 26, and I'm excited to see what you put out in 26. And you've got the benefit of having physical distilleries as well that we're excited to watch grow. The episode where we tasted this, your Tormore pack, was fantastic as well, and excited to see what you're putting out. So, I like this. I like this feeling of buoyancy that we're sharing.
Well, they don't call me EO for nothing.
You have not lived up. We did not use that nickname in today's introduction because you did not live up to that one. The Quiet Titan. I think you lived up to that one.
2026 is obviously from our point of view incredibly exciting. We have I've just can't really see it. I've got Demi-John behind me that's Tormore 12-year-old. Because I've come to just marrying all the samples in Demi-Johns, it's easier. And that will go off for batting in Jan. So that'll be out midway through the year.
Nice.
All being well with pack and logistics and all that nonsense that we all have to deal with. And obviously Portentry and Touchwood at some point opening its doors to people in 2026. So we've got a little bit of work to do, I think. But it does make you, having all of it does make you then look quite closely at a lot of this stuff and try to think what are the challenges, but what are the positives.
Yep. That's fair.
Because otherwise you go to the award dinners like last night, and I listen to people tell me how the only solution is for everyone in the industry to drink the whiskey themselves. Which is one of the more depressing speeches of the evening. I mean, we gave it a good go, but then Scotia Victoriana, my God, that's drinking well. You tried that recently?
Oh, yes.
I had a bottle on the table last night.
Newer? No, I haven't had a newer release.
Yeah, remains consistently good. Yeah, another cracker.
There you go. That's me looking for a new bottle.
And look at that. Unconnected to any of our brands, and here we are recommending Victoriana to the consumers. That's how we roll. That's how we do this.
That's how we roll. Okay.
Well, as Mr. Number One complainer about that was not a tight 35 and I had to run 2 extra minutes, we're gonna get you out of here, Ollie, on this almost tight 35.
Yeah, there you go. So, Ollie, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, cheers, man.
Really, it's always a pleasure being with you. It's always great having you on. We get to look at this. We get to throw a banner just under your name. Look at that. Could you, Ollie? Can you tell our viewers and listeners what they need to be doing?
Your viewers need to subscribe to your YouTube channel below. Your listeners don't need to do that because we listen to you in the car or on our runs like sensible human beings and then stare at people's faces on the screen. If you're a listener like me, continue listening and kick up a fuss every time they say stuff like, look at this on the screen.
I love that we can bring them on to heckle us. This is good. Well, if you are a listener who would like to subscribe to the YouTube channel and not take Ollie's advice, you can come on here, tickle the bell, and you'll find out about updates as well. So. What a blast, Ollie Chilton. Always fun to hang out with you.
Thank you, gents. I'm going to go and find myself some fleece-lined trousers. See if there's any for sale in Apple Hour tonight. So it's our big Christmas fair.
Do not wear them to warm nightclubs.
Oh,
no.
Yeah.
You learn that through bitter experience.
Bitter
get some
experience.
Gold
They're
Bond
perfect for
powder,
warehouses, though.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. We don't have the biggest nightclub scene around Craigellachie, Outloud. You never know. Maybe there's a rave I don't know that I'm not sure I'd get invited to anyway.
If you end up partying in an open field, you definitely put on your fleece-lined trousers.
Yeah.
All right. Cheers, Ollie. Cheers, Joshua. Cheers, all the viewers and all the listeners.
Cheers, everybody.
Bye-bye.